Hi Sheddies, it's me, Eddie Stevens. I'm in my shed, there's a horse's head, and I won't apologise for the things I've said. This is a quick 23 to face Wales. This Welsh team is a bit of an unknown quantity in that I've looked at their squad, some familiar names, some good names, some I just don't know, and, you know, on paper and based on recent results, this should be an easy win. But it most likely won't be. We've been here and done this before so many times. We'll write them off at our peril. So I think you have to go into this game. You can't go into this game thinking, let's experiment. You have to put out the best squad you can. So that's what I've done. And because I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, I'll just get cracking on it. Now, front row, normally I really like having Ellis Genge coming off the bench. I think he's perfect for that. And you can bring him on after half an hour. You can bring him on at some point in the second half. But he's a great world-class prop and one of, if not the best, ball-carrying props in the world in international rugby. But with no Finn Baxter, I'm not super confident about the other options we have at loosehead. We have a bit of a problem, don't we, again? So I'd start with Ellis Genge, for sure. At hooker, I think Luke Cowan-Dickie, of the hookers in the squad, is the best all-round. He's a slight liability because of his tackling style, and he does tend to get injured a lot and sometimes gives away cards, but it's not that bad. I trust him and I would start him. And then at tight head, Joe Hayes has somehow gone from being the kind of, all right, I guess he's okay. We could give him he's not shit. That's how we used to pick Joe Hayes. He's gone from that to, within a few seasons, being a genuine top quality tight head prop. Have a lot of confidence in him. So he's absolutely, with no Will Stewart, it's an easy pick. So that's the front row. Genge, Luke Cowan-Dickie, and Joe Hayes. On the bench, covering loosehead, of the options we have, I've got to go for Bevan Rodd, and I know a lot of people aren't big fans of Bevan Rodd. He is criticised for being a bit too flash, you know, not doing the fundamentals well enough. And I've called him in the past, more than a few times, a luxury that sometimes we can't afford. I think we can afford him against this. No, this isn't me experimenting. I'd rather have Finn Baxter there, you know. But with the props available, I'm not sure. Trying to think of the new props that are there. I'm thinking of one, his name's escaping me, but I'm not 100% confident that there are any other really great loose heads in the squad. And I do love Bevan Rodd. I think when he's, you know, you bring him on with half an hour or something left in the game and he does remarkable things. And I think his scrummaging is underrated. It's not great, but it's underrated. It's not that bad. Covering hooker, I think what Borthwick will pick, who, not objects for Christ's sake, is Jamie George. But I would have Theo Dan. Now, if I was picking the squad, I might not even have Theo Dan in the squad because I would have had Gabriel Ogre, who I think is amazing. Blamire has potential, although he's not been super fantastic this season. There are a few great hookers. Theo Dan, the one issue with him is his set piece is sometimes not great, but Steve Borthwick is determined to have him in the squad. It's just going to be the way it is. So I think you've got to give him as much game time as possible. Jamie George doesn't ever need to play for England again, and you could put him in a World Cup final starting, and he'd do great. You know, he's been there and done it. He's got the experience. There's no issues. Theo Dan, the best ball-carrying hooker in the Premiership, possibly one of the best ball-carrying forwards in the Premiership. So I'm happy with him on the bench. And then covering tight head, this is a bit of a gamble, but I would actually have Billy Searle. Trying to make sure I'm saying the right name. That's how new he is. I've seen him play a few times for Bath, and when I've seen him, he's looked great. I am worried that part of my decision to select him is based on hearsay with what I've heard from other people, rumour about his potential, and just looks. He looks like, I don't know, he looks like a really fucking good prop. I don't know how else to say it. And that sometimes can be misleading. Just basing, you don't ever want to base on appearances. In rugby, in life, you can. That wasn't like a moral lecture. But judge people. If they're ugly, they're probably bad people. You know, they'll probably steal from you. But in this case, I don't know. I've seen enough. The fact that he's even there, it's a bit of a fun one for me. I'm putting him on the bench because it's fun. Second row, Marrow, of course, is a guaranteed starter. I'm actually starting Alex Coles. I just think that he's done enough. He deserves it. Ollie Chesham, I think, is world class. Does that mean Alex Coles is now world class? I don't know. As I said that, I realised that seems a bit of a stretch. And yet, he deserves to be starting for England. But of course, it's a 23-man squad. It's a 23-man team. It doesn't matter. There's going to be players on the bench better, in my opinion, than the ones starting. Because sometimes players are better suited to coming on and creating an impact. Of course, sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want someone to come on and just grind out a win. It's confusing. I don't have time to get into the minutiae of how this works, but I like Ollie Chesham on the bench. He can come on at second row or back row, but he shouldn't need to because, well, let's do the back row. I'm being a bit boring. I'm going with the tried and tested from last season. Guy Pepper, Sam Underhill, and Ben Earl. Didn't they do well? Didn't they do well? That was a shit Bruce Forsyth impression. Nice to see you. To see you. If you said it, that's weird. It wasn't weird of me to do that. It's a perfectly acceptable thing to do a shit Bruce Forsyth impression on a rugby podcast. So, Pepper, Underhill, Earl, and then on the bench, just like we saw last season, sorry, I had a brain fart, Tom Curry and Henry Pollock. Two phenomenal impact subs. I just love the idea of having this fucking great back row. Pepper, Underhill, and Earl is a dynamic, exciting, destructive back row, right? Now imagine you're Wales, you're facing that back row, and then you see Tom bloody Curry and Henry Pollock, who annoys the shit out of everyone, even himself, I think. He probably watches videos of himself and he cringes, but he knows that is driving people insane and it's good. But those two coming on, so demoralising for the opposition. Second row, Alex Mitchell is the best scrum half in the Premiership. He's the best English scrum half in the Premiership. Thomas Williams is the best scrum half in the Premiership, he will be up against. But Alex Mitchell's the best English scrum half in the world. Okay? But I'd have him on the bench, and I'd start with Ben Spencer. Ben Spencer does all the basics well. Amazing tactical kicking, just tactics in general, understands the game, great leadership, also defensively phenomenal. And people forget, because Alex Mitchell is so good ball in hand, we sort of compare him to Ben Spencer, and people act like Ben Spencer's a boring sort of passing, kicking scrum half. He's actually a good attacking threat too. But I'd start with him, with Mitchell to come off the bench to add some spice. It would have made more sense if I'd said Tom Curry. But then that's overdone. People say that all the time. Fly half, I would have had Finn Smith every day of the week. George Ford, I do worry about his defensive capabilities. I really do. But he'll be fine, and I'm starting George Ford because he's so bloody good at everything else. It sort of cancels out the fact that every now and again he'll get, not necessarily run over. That's the interesting thing about George Ford. He can tackle. He's just slow. He just gets run around quite often. Not as much as he should. Either opposition teams are not good at exploiting it, or teams he's in are really good at covering for it. But anyway, I'm babbling now. In the centres, now here's where it gets interesting and you won't be bored anymore. The best centre partnership in England, for me, right now, is Max Ajomo and Ollie Lawrence. Now, of course, Ollie Lawrence is unavailable through injury. I've heard rumour that he might actually be available for this game. And if he is, that changes everything. But I'm assuming he won't be. And if he is not available, then who do you put at 13? Well, Tommy Freeman has been brilliant at outside centre. He's also brilliant on the wing. But I really like him at outside centre. The only thing is I can't drop Ollie Lawrence because that's just stupid. But with him unavailable, who's your alternative? Henry Slade. He most likely wouldn't let you down, but I don't really want to pick a player who most likely won't let you down. I'm putting Tommy Freeman in at 13. And with Tommy Freeman at 13, that means Max Ojomo, he could do a great job at 12 with Freeman, but I think it makes sense to put Fraser Dingwall at inside centre and have the two Saints players together. They're used to each other, and it's just not a bad idea, is it? I have criticised Fraser Dingwall for maybe being a little bit underpowered physically, a little bit smaller, but he's kind of shut me up and proven me wrong, I think. And so I'll pick him at 12, and if I was right, at least I'll be able to say I told you so. But I think they'll do really well together, Dingwall and Freeman. And then on the wings, Feo Waboso, to me, he's a guaranteed starter. I understand he's had a couple of bad games for Chiefs, but he's the real deal. You got to have him. And then on the other wing, without Freeman there, I would have loved to have had Adam Radwan. He's not available through injury, I believe. Tom Roebuck is injured. Otherwise, I'd have him there. So then it's between Caden Murley, who is really exciting and really good, but maybe not super consistent. Maybe prone to some errors. Now, I'm not just talking about that. His England debut. Did he have just one game for England? But he made some huge cock-ups, didn't he? The thing is, he's still really good, and I'd be okay with him on the wing. In fact, on my podcast, I named him on the wing. But I forgot about Elliot Daly when I said that. And Elliot Daly, this might be a bit of a boring selection. It might be a bit of a cautious, conservative selection. But I would definitely want to have Daly on the wing because he's absolutely not going to make mistakes. He's not going to let you down. And he tends to prove repay the faith that's shown in him every time he plays for England. I used to see Elliot Daly selected in England squads, and I'm talking 3 or 4 years ago, and get depressed by it and say it's regressive, it's not forward thinking, it's not exciting, there's other more exciting. And then by the time he was in the touring with the Lions, I was like, this guy is my favourite back. He's incredible. So I'd give him another chance. And then fullback Freddie Stewart. I would have loved Joe Carpenter, but he's not there. George Furbank. I won't be upset if George Furbank is picked. I just don't think he's played enough recently because of injury, so can't do that. So Freddie Stewart. And then I've already named all of those forwards, so there's just 2 backs. I think I said Alex Mitchell would be on the bench. And then I've got Marcus Smith. I still like Marcus Smith. He can cover fly half and fullback, no problem. It'll work out fine. That's all. So enjoy my little... God, it took longer than I meant it to. Enjoy my England 23 to face Wales like you haven't seen a shit ton of others. But, none of them... Well, some of them will be the same as mine, actually, but none of them will involve a horse's head in the background and me. Not sleep-deprived for once in my bloody life. Like this, subscribe to the video, and for God's sake, subscribe to my podcast too, because it's way better than this shit. This is all right. But anyway, I've got to go. I've got to pick up dog shit and throw it away.